He's not appearing
No,
tonight.
I'm here.
Here he is.
Hi, Tom.
Oh, hi. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Hi.
He's on the corner now.
He's on the corner. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm lost down someplace and
There, now I see you.
right next to the Charlestown border. Couldn't find that Balsam Street for the word.
We're good anytime you're ready, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay. Good evening. My name is Robert Cagnetta. I'm the chairman, and this is the meeting of the South Kingstown, Rhode Island Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Mr. Daniels, Mr. Rosen, Mr. Charkowick, Ms. Walsh, and Mr. Brown. Also present are Jamie Gorman, South Kingstown Zoning Building Official, Amy Goins, our South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, and Jessica Spence, our Administrative Support Associate. The board is made up of 7 people, where 5 of us are regular voting members. 5 are required to be present to vote. In the event that one of the 5 regular members is not present, an alternate will step in, and then we can use another member. Tonight, the voting members will be myself, Thomas Daniels, Bill Rosen, Casey Charkowick, and Susan Walsh. The applicants are here for either a variance dimensional use or to seek a special use permit. This board is a quasi-judicial body created by South Kingstown pursuant to state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, but we do operate what we believe to be in a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everyone speak, and unless you get carried away, and we'll let you know. Or if it's not determined to be relevant. So really, in the best interest of keeping things moving, we just want you to be brief and make sure you're on point to why folks are here. We do our best not to argue and keep things civil, and we try to have our last petition heard by 10 o'clock. When your petition is called, please make yourself known, and Jessica will let us know how to do that. And then clearly state your name and spell it for the record. So speak clearly so we can hear you. You will be asked to take an oath to tell the truth, and then you can present your petition along with any other witnesses that wish to testify in your support. The board is then will ask you or your witnesses questions. After the petitioner has presented their testimony, anyone else with questions about the applicant wanting to support or oppose the petition will be asked to make themselves known. They will identify themselves, be sworn in, and present their own testimony, which can be followed up by questions from the board. So direct any questions that you have to us, and then we will make them. We will provide them to the applicant. So we will be. We'll ask the petitioner to respond to questions after the sort of comment period is over sometimes. So after all the testimony and before the vote is taken, board members will be asked to discuss the evidence presented. The variances and special use permits require 4 or 5 of us to vote in favor of the petition for granting the requested relief. Board members will ask a lot of questions, and there's a good reason we do. We can't just grant anything we want. There are rules to follow per our South Kingstown ordinance. So you must give testimony to support certain facts that allow your request to be approved. So tonight we do have dimensional variances. And yes, we do have 1 special use permit. So for variances, you'll be offering evidence to the board setting forth the following: that your hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or the structure, and it's not due to the general characteristics of the general area; that your hardship is not the result of any prior action on your part; that the granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area; and the relief requested is the least relief necessary; and that you must demonstrate that your hardship that will be suffered if it's not granted will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. The special use permit, you have to present the following: that the requested permit is specifically authorized by the zoning ordinance. So somewhere in our zoning ordinance, it has to allow that use to be authorized, or we don't have the power to grant it. The requested special use permit it meets all the criteria set forth in our zoning ordinance authorized for such special use, and that the granting of the special use permit will not alter the general characteristic or the surrounding area or impair the purpose or intent of the zoning ordinance. Jessica, would you mind letting folks know how they let themselves known and so forth?
Sure. So a couple things to
Thank
go over. Until your petition is called, I'm going to ask that you turn off your camera and remain on mute. Once your petition is called, I will ask you to turn on your camera. And then from there, you'll be able to give all your testimony. Once all the testimony has been given and the chairman asks if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to speak, anyone who is in attendance can use the raise hand feature. So if you raised your hand, you will be allowed to talk, and that is in the order in which hands are raised. A couple things to keep in mind. The agenda and all of the supporting documents are available to view online at southkingstownri.com. If you search current zoning applications, you'll be able to see everything. Is in regards to Zoom, the question and answer function, just please note that that will only be used for technical problems. So if you're having any technical issues, you can use the question and answer format. No questions in regards to any petition will be answered on that format. To actually have a question be addressed by the board, you will need to raise your hand if you're in attendance. And then if you happen to be calling in by phone, which right now there isn't anyone, but it would be *9 to raise your hand, and then *6 will mute and unmute you. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Spence. Is there anything else we needed to go over before we get started? I didn't think so. So the first petition is of Emily and Craig Totten of 900 Tuckertown Road, Wakefield, Rhode Island, 02879 for a special use permit under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a one-bedroom detached accessory apartment. The living area of the accessory apartment will be 750 square feet, the maximum allowed. The proposed building will also include a 6-foot by 12-foot covered porch. The lot size is 5.04 acres. Special use permit is required per the zoning ordinance, section 503.2. Accessory apartments in section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the property is Pennington Partners LLC for premises located at 900 Tuckertown Road, South Kingstown. Assessors map 61, lot 67, and is zoned R200. And for tonight, for the application, we have the application signed and dated December 16th, 2021. The owner authorization signed and notarized December 10th, 2021. Accessory dwelling plans, the cover page A1, A2, A4, dated August 27th, 2021. The proposed site plan, which is one page, prepared by Principe Company, Inc., and stamped by Thomas Principe III, PE, and dated December 14th, 2021. 200-foot radius map and a butters list, legal notice, proof of certified mailings, and notarized affidavit of mailing, revised legal notice with Zoom instructions. And who is here tonight for that property?
Myself.
Evening, Mr. Chair,
Here it
members
comes.
of the board. My name is Josh Rosen, Rhode Island professional engineer with Principe Engineering office at 27 Secana Ridge Drive in Tiverton. We also have on the line Ms. Emily Totten. She is the applicant for this particular project.
Okay, sounds great. And how do you tell us what you want to do? So, Mr.
So-
Rosen, are you going to be mostly presenting, or are you going to, is Ms. Totten going to talk a bit too?
We both will, please. I'm going to just
Okay,
probably let Ms.
So-
Totten actually lead our presentation, and then I'll jump back on and explain some of the site details.
okay. So why don't I swear both you guys in?
Awesome.
So, Mr. Rosen, just state your name and spell it, please.
Joshua Rosen, Joshua, last name Rosen.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, I was assuming you're raising your right hand. And Ms. Totten, could you please state and spell your name, please?
Emily, first name Emily, Emily, last name Totten, Totten.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So whoever wants to go first, go for it.
Sure, I'll just start. So the applicant is here tonight for this proposed project at Assessors Plat 61, Lot 67, also known as 900 Tuckertown Road in South Kingstown. And the special use permit tonight before you is for the proposed one-bedroom accessory apartment. As you know, the zoning ordinance allows in the R200 zone, which is what this property falls within, this particular type of accessory apartment only by the special use permit. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm probably going to go through a couple of site-related items, but first I'd like you to hear from Ms. Totten. She has a pretty good idea, obviously, of why the family is pursuing the accessory apartment and how this property is being used currently. I think that would be helpful to the board by way of background. So I'll let Ms. Totten lead us off.
Please.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So my husband, my children, and myself currently live at the dwelling on 900 Tuckertown Road. It's been our permanent residence since it was built in about 2005. We own and operate Greenview Farm off of the property, and the property is about 20 acres. You said the house lot is about 5 acres, but then we own some of the land that we farm, that we sold the development rights. It's a different, the land that abuts the housing lot. So the property itself is about 20 acres. I'm originally from the Midwest, go Badgers, and so my parents, who are still out in the Midwest, sorry, they we're very close, and they often come to visit. When they come, our house is very small. We have zero room for anything in my house. And so there's no place for them to stay here. They've always, for all these years, have been staying in the local hotels, which, you know, adds up to a lot of money and also just inconvenience, especially in the summer. It can be hard to even secure a hotel room for them. So as my parents kind of started to age, we started looking into options that were kind of more permanent and better for them. And we landed on the best option being this accessory dwelling here on the farm. The building of the dwelling originally was just kind of, we were in this very slow process. It was more of an idea. We were just not in any hurry to make it happen, but we were just kind of on this slow process of having it. And then unfortunately, I was very recently diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer, and it's become kind of a critical need as my parents have moved here to help me through the next, you know, treatments for a year and a half, and then all sorts of stuff for years after that. So they've kind of now decided that they wanted to kind of step on the gas on this project and get a place that they could sit down in
Sure.
a little bit sooner.
Absolutely. So this is going to be in a place of where there's an existing shed on the property. As I see on the property, there's something there.
They are just they're movable sheds. So our tractor kind of goes in and lifts them up. Right now, one I use for like my kids' stuff, and the other one is farm storage. And usually in the summer, they both become farm storage. But yeah, there are currently sheds there that are easily moved out of that area.
Okay.
Not to interrupt you, Mr. Chair, but if you want to obviously ask Ms. Totten any questions, that's fine. Or I can just do a brief overview of the site plan just to give you a
Please.
orientation of where everything's going, and then we can do questions after, if that makes sense. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think just sort of understanding where it is on the lot, and you know, because it seems pretty straightforward so far, but just to make sure that this is the right placement for it. So just talk us through where you're planning on putting the building.
Absolutely. So I have in front of me our proposed site plan that was submitted with the application. I'm sure you folks have that as well. So I'm going to use that as a reference in my brief discussion here. Obviously, the property, as we know it, is that 5-acre piece of land where the greenhouse structures, the portion of their farm and the existing dwellings situated. The dwelling itself right now is about 400 feet set back from Tuckertown Road, sort of in a central location on the property. There are some greenhouses up in the front as you come in off of the gravel driveway, and a couple of accessory storage buildings, etc. So as you see on the site plan, the idea for the accessory apartment is to go to the west of the primary dwelling structure. It was located in a fashion that it's sort of on the same plane as that house structure. And it's also located in a way that it would be able to utilize the existing gravel driveway that's currently accessed by the Tottens right now at their primary residence, so that we could almost share that element without having to create a whole new driveway location or configuration within the property. It's also located in an area that's sort of suitable to keep some parking for each the dwelling unit and the accessory apartment sort of separate and functional. And it allows it to sort of integrate with the rest of what's going on the property. So, yep, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Rosen. I was just going to ask a few things.
Yep.
So you talked about this is going on an existing driveway, so it's not going to change any way in and out of the property per se?
That's correct. There's no new access egress point required off of Tuckertown Road.
Okay.
And no new driveways to be installed within the property.
And there's no need, loading or additional kind of activity that's going to increase sort of traffic in the area to put this in?
That's correct. There's no projected increase as far as that goes.
Okay, and not going to change sort of your trash use or anything like that. Utilities, straightforward, sort of using what's on site, sort of tapping in there. There's no major changes to either septic or otherwise that we need to consider?
That's correct. So just briefly on that, the existing property is serviced by public water from Tuckertown Road, the Suez water. And there's a individual septic system that was conformed in the early 2000s for the primary structure. And at the time, the septic system, as it was approved, it was documented for a 4-bedroom use. Now, within the property, the dwelling itself right now, there are less than 4 bedrooms, and we're adding the mere 1-bedroom accessory. So all we needed to do to accommodate the individual sewage disposal was to tie in a new building sewer line into the existing septic tank. The septic tank is sized appropriately, the field sized appropriately for that particular additional bedroom.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
that was a pretty simple solution as far as that
Yeah,
goes.
no, that was good planning on their part for sure. So and you said it's 400 feet or so off the road, so there's no need for screening or buffering of any type. No signs, anything like that, right?
No signage.
No lighting that would be of significance to anyone off or around the property.
Correct.
Just normal lighting for that. Okay. Board members, you have any questions for the applicants or for the applicant and Mr. Rosen? Any comments in general? Thoughts?
I have a
Yeah,
question.
I
Go ahead.
Mr. Brown?
yeah, that's Russell Brown. Yeah, I have a question. The application indicates they're requesting 750 square foot accessory apartment. And in the description of the extent, it indicates that the finished storage area in loft and basement. If they finish the basement, it will be part of a living area. Is that included in the 750 or not?
Mr. Rosen?
I could try to maybe take
Okay.
that, unless
Sure.
Josh, chime in if you
Go
feel like
ahead.
you have this better, but the basement, our plan for the basement currently is storage for the farm. So my husband and I were trying to piggyback on, like I was saying, we don't have so much room in our house, so like our mudroom closet is filled with farm seeds, like bins and bins of farm seeds. 50-pound bags of cover crop seed end up in the basement where my kids play, and row cover ends up down there too. So as we were talking about this structure, my husband and I were eager to see if there was a way to get a basement that we could keep that stuff. So we could move some of this stuff out of our house and have a farm storage area for us in the basement.
So it's not intended as a finished space.
It's not intended. I'm not certain where the line is between finished and unfinished. We had talked about putting a bathroom down there potentially for farm. We have it so you can walk right in the front door and go downstairs to get the farm stuff for the farm in the basement. And to have a bathroom down there for most of the year. We have a porta potty on the premises for customers and also employees, but we don't have it. We don't keep it 6 months out of the winter. We don't have enough employees or customers around to make it worth paying the money for the porta john. So we were going to have a bathroom in the basement so people aren't coming in and out of our house, which is a little bit, it's more like going, into
another
our
space.
living space a little bit more. This one's a little bit more. They could go down, access the things they need for the farm in the basement, and also if they needed to use the bathroom, it would be there. So I don't know like what constitutes a finished space.
Okay. Ms. Goins?
The ordinance limits the square footage of the accessory apartment to 750 square feet, and it doesn't that prohibition doesn't distinguish between finished and unfinished space. The board can grant relief from that 750 square foot maximum by way of special use permit. However, it wasn't advertised as requiring relief from that limitation. It was advertised as a 750 square foot accessory apartment. So I think the board tonight could grant approval for a 750 square foot accessory apartment. And then if the applicant determines as the project proceeds that they do need more space than that for the reasons they explained, they can come back to the board with a request for a revised special use permit that would be advertised as such.
Meaning that could it be built as it's designed now without that, or not necessarily?
I don't think so, because I don't think it's been advertised as requiring relief from that 750 square foot maximum. I don't know how the building official would interpret that. I mean, it does say the accessory apartment. I'm not so sure that you can separate out the apartment use or portion of it with the portion that's connected to the farm.
Mr. Gorman, what do you say?
I know initially I met with Tottens and reviewed the plans to kind of give them an idea of what to anticipate. And from my interpretation would have been that if it was unfinished, the basement, it would be similar to, say, like a garage beneath a living space. With that being said, if it was finished, I would include that in, as an additional to the 750, but unfinished, I was looking at it as not needing additional relief, but again, if the board feels otherwise.
Would the, so if it were just the cement walls and open joists, that you just consider that as part of the structure, not necessarily as part of the used space.
Yeah, and to Amy's point, the ordinance doesn't differentiate the living space from, storage space. But, if it's unfinished, I would treat it similar to like that of a garage and wouldn't include it as part of the floor area.
So-
This is Russell Brown
Yeah.
again.
Go ahead,
I
Mr.
would
Brown.
agree with Jamie. The only reason I raised the issue was that the cover documents indicated that the basement was going to be finished. I don't know if Jamie had picked that up in his review, but yeah, if they have a basement with the bare cement walls and columns, and the floor joist is exposed, I don't consider that part of the accessory structure.
But as soon as if they were to close off like a 3x5 area for a toilet, that 15 square feet would be included.
Yeah, if they complete or finish an area for living purposes, some type of living purposes, then it has to be included in the 750 square feet. But that's the limitations that the ordinance puts on the accessory apartment. We don't. We just read it. The ordinance specifies 750.
And okay, so Mr. Rosen, so the square footage of the accessory apartment as it is now, is it exactly 750 square feet?
That's correct. So that leads me to one more point. I just want to make sure we're all clear.
Please.
The
Yep.
living area that's enclosed is in fact exactly 750 square feet. The plans do reflect, and as does the cover application, the intent of an additional 69 square feet as part of the covered entry and porch area that they are proposing. And I believe it was alluded to the fact that they would be asking for that as part of the special use permit relief. And I know that Mr. Gorman had a conversation with the applicant on this, and I know that they've discussed it. So I just want to bring that up.
So
To
that
answer the question,
covered
make
area,
sure
Sorry.
we're on the same page. That's all.
so that covered porch area is part of the 750 square feet or not part of it?
Not part. So it's 750 square feet
Plus
of
that,
the living space plus the 69 square feet.
of the covered
And
porch.
so technically, I believe Jamie advised us or the applicant to include that as requested relief through the special use permit process. Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct. 503.2 requires covered porches to be
Identified.
trying to pull that section now.
And that's specified right in the notice, the 6x12 covered porch.
Yes.
And I can
Yeah, that
explain the need for that. If anybody, do you want me to explain the thinking on?
I just might interject
One second.
again, this Russell Brown.
Yep.
That under the ordinance, that is excluded. You can have that. That's not part of the 750. Under
Right.
E number 2 in that paragraph, it's on page CDA 55. It excludes, let's see, but excluding hold on just a second. Just read it. Yeah, it excludes any covered porch areas.
Russell, this is Amy Goins. The copy I'm looking
Yep.
at online says the square footage requirement shall be calculated using the exterior measurements of the structure, including any covered porch areas, but excluding stairs providing access to the accessory apartment.
Well, yeah, that's a catch-21 because the covered porch area is the access stairs to the apartment.
Okay, in the case of an
You
ambiguity,
follow me?
yep, I follow you completely. So I think you're right. Then in the case of an ambiguity, we would exclude that area.
And they would be allowed to build that.
Correct.
Okay, so, so does that mean we don't necessarily need to vote on that aspect of the special use request of the covered porch?
I think it can be noted in the motion, but it doesn't need special relief. It's all under the umbrella of the special use permit. The only thing, as I said, I'm concerned about finished space in addition to the 750 square feet.
So if we were to make sure that the basement, doesn't contain any use other than storage.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing you can do at this time.
And then if they wanted to come back to use it, to put a bathroom down there, they'd have to come back.
I think so.
Okay.
Only
Is that-
because what was advertised was 750 square feet.
Okay. I mean, unless if they were able to carve out, if there were 3x5 bathroom, if they were able to carve out 15 feet from upstairs, it's possible, or not necessarily.
I think it would be possible provided they, submitted a revised site plan. to the
Revised
building
site plan.
official. Yeah.
Okay. So, based on your description, Ms. Dunn, those are the two options to put something downstairs.
And again, just to be clear, that the finished space is drywall and ceilings, not, so storage space is, you're saying cement walls and joists.
Correct.
Okay, but the minute, so it's withholding some sort of drywall or like you said, segmenting the basement in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to exclude you from putting insulation in the basement or anything like that, or putting any fire protection that you wanted over the joists, I'm sure. But it's making sure the rest of the space isn't designed for use other than storage,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Right? Does that make sense, Jamie? Like, we wouldn't want to
Yeah.
exclude their ability to put drywall up there.
Yeah, on say the ceiling, but if you were gonna frame walls and insulate and then sheet rock, it's starting to look more like habitable space.
Right.
So, I mean, if that's the intent, maybe at a later date, if you were to come back to the board for, an amendment to the special use permit, that may be an option, but it sounds like it would just have to stay at this point, unfinished concrete walls.
And meaning that even they couldn't even have a knockout or something for sewage downstairs necessarily for future.
A
They wouldn't be
knockout
allowed
for
to
a
do that. Like,
bathroom?
well, yeah, like if because that would show intent, I would guess. Like you can't like inspect it and see that that's there, like a stub in the ground for a toilet.
Yeah, I mean, to put a toilet in a totally unfinished basement is possible. It's not considered habitable space, just having a toilet and a mop sink. But
Yeah.
I think the line is probably open to interpretation. I think that would be allowed, but that's probably the extent of it.
Yeah,
So
just
don't
so
put up
this
any
is-
walls.
Right. No privacy. That's
This is Josh Rosen, just for the board's edification, the the building plans themselves, just to be clear, they actually do not reflect a finished space at this time.
Correct.
The building plans did not contemplate that, I think. So there's no issue, I think, as far as the plans being misleading at this time. Just what we discussed, if I think Ms. Totten puts on the record that they understand that they will come back if that space will need to turn into something other than the open storage. I think we're in a pretty good spot, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown, does that answer all of your?
Yeah, I
Questions?
just, again, I looked at the plans. The plans showed a typical unimproved basement. Yet when I read the statement, it said they were going to finish the basement. I just wanted a clarification on that issue. I think we've clarified it.
Okay, great. Any other board members, questions at this time? Ask of the witness.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Mr.
this-
Charkwick.
I just have one question about that, the distinction between the finished and unfinished. If you had a structure with a foundation that you wanted to use for storage, and you insulated the concrete walls and put sheetrock around those walls, but didn't do any subdividing, would that then become living space?
I think Jamie has to answer that question.
So you're saying I mean, it may still be labeled as storage, but once you put heating, cooling, lighting, electrical, insulation, sheetrock, you could call it storage, but it's looking more and more like habitable space, living space. So I
Okay.
think, with it being left concrete foundation, that can't be used for habitation or living space.
So, and would that apply to a garage too? Like if someone were to insulate and sheetrock a garage and leave the concrete slab and everything else in place, would that then count towards living space?
No, it would not. Again, I mean, a garage can't be used for habitation. I think
Okay, yeah. No, I get it now, I think. Thank you.
Does that
That's all I
answer
had.
your question, Casey?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood sort of where the line was just for my own education. So, thank you.
Trying to finish at a garage, Mr. Charkwick? No,
Wondered if I needed to come here for permission for mine.
All right, any other board members, questions for the applicant, or Mr. Rosen?
Yeah, I got one question. I assume
Yes, Mr. Rosen.
I assume there's gonna be a bathroom in the apartment. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. In the plans.
So
there is.
Yes, sir.
So they're gonna have to hook that up to the septic system, and presumably they're gonna have to go through the walls.
Yes. It's a new structure.
Yeah, so it will be easy for them to put a bathroom down in the basement because the plumbing will already be there to the apartment.
Depends how low, but technically, yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Could I just ask one more quick question?
Sure.
So just as I'm kind of sitting here processing this, for the intention of what we were using to store down there, it would need to be a little bit more, seeds are kind of susceptible to temperature changes and all that. So it would be better to be a more climate controlled environment. But what I'm hearing and I understand is that putting those types of things in place now make it habitable. And now we're in that I need a special use or variant. I get confused with the terminology, but I would need that additional piece. If we say that you approve the structure as is stated tonight on the plans as unfinished basement space, and we say we do want to ask for that variance, is that something that we could continue with the plan as is, saying unfinished basement? And I could ask even at next month's meeting for that variance, or the next, could it happen pretty relatively quickly to see if you guys would approve that additional that additional
Yes.
variance or whatever it's called?
Yes, you would still be allowed the structure, and be allowed to have the, the main floor as your 750. And
Chairman?
Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can heat a basement. You can control your environment in a basement, but the intent is it's a different approach to maintaining sort of a ambient space versus where people are living, sleeping, showering and so forth.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Mr. Daniels, yeah.
why not, if we're going to approve this, why not put a condition on that the basement space cannot be used for living, it cannot be used for habitation. Put a condition on a special use permit. Doesn't that solve
Yes.
it? And then she can
Yeah.
sheetrock and do what she wants, but she can't have anybody live down there. We'll put a condition on it.
Yes. Yes, we can. Ms. Totten, does that make sense in terms of how you can go forward either in the next month or month
I'm
after,
just-
whenever?
Yeah, yes. Yep, I think so. I can always ask Jamie to. for me.
So even if the condition of the space not being used as livable space, even if we put that condition on it, another special use permit will allow it. So it's not like it's forbidden forever.
Okay.
It would be unless
Gotcha.
you get the additional special use.
Okay. I think I got it. Thank you.
Any other questions, board members?
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
Ms. Walsh. Yes.
I know I'm the newest member of the board, and I think I understand the debate here. There is a thin line, however, between finishing the basement, obviously, and not finishing it. And I would feel more comfortable, and I'm sorry, Mrs. Totten, but if you came back and asked for the permit, that way you wouldn't worry, we wouldn't worry, and it would be clear. But I know the rest of the board is also asking questions and thinking about this. So I'd kind of like to hear restated what we're asking or what we're granting, and then what we're asking Mrs. Totten to do under what circumstances, just so I understand what we're approving. If we're approving.
Right, and I think as it stands now, is how we're interpreting the application, which is the 750 square feet, which is the main living area, is the accessory apartment. Right, so if it doesn't, well, I don't think, Ms. Totten, you said that you're convinced that you need to use that basement, so you can even live with it potentially as this is. You might not come back. So
Exactly. I would need to talk to him. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you would still want to go ahead even if it's restricted to say what, just the main living floor.
The way I understand it currently is that you would be approving as is an unfinished, uninhabitable basement.
Correct.
And with potentially a toilet in the open, right? Like a drain in the floor toilet that, that's what's allowed in this unfinished basement space.
Correct.
And if I go and talk to my parents and my husband and we decide, no, we do want it a little bit more finished for the storage space, then I would ask you guys for an additional variance for that additional space.
Correct.
But the application as it reads now says a dwelling, 750 square foot accessory apartment dwelling with additional furnished storage and loft and basement. And we
Yes.
may add plumbing in the basement for an extra toilet.
Right. And based on that, then that is permitted to do all of that, as long as the basement isn't finished.
I think I
That's
do
correct.
understand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say if you wanted to go back to the board, the soonest would be for additional amendment it would have to be re-advertised. The soonest would be March. So if that was a condition that you wanted to hold out until, if that's what you wanted to do, March would be the next available.
Because we can even tack that on to this if we re-advertise. So we can continue this and re-advertise it and have both, or we can just decide on this.
I think I would I don't know if you're asking
I am.
me. Okay. So I think I would prefer, if possible, to approve as we've stated with an unfinished basement. So we could, if I speak to my parents and my husband and we say, oh no, that will be fine for this type of storage that we need, that we could at least start continuing moving the project along, versus kind of sitting on our hands for another couple months, when I could leave this meeting and they could be, I could tell them and they could say, oh no, that's totally fine. We should have just had them approve it as unfinished space.
Okay. Is that okay for you, Ms. Walsh? You do
Yeah,
that one?
so the application where it says furnished storage, that's going to be stricken.
What I would suggest is that we,
Finished.
this is Amy Goins. Susan, I would suggest the member making the motion, read what would be approved from tonight's agenda, which doesn't
Okay.
say anything about additional space over and above 750 square feet, other than the covered porch.
Any other board members, questions? Okay, Jessica, is there anyone out there that has shown interest in this petition?
No one has raised their hand.
Ms. Totten or Mr. Rosen, is there anything you guys wanted to add?
This is Josh. I'm all set, myself. Emily?
Good.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Someone have any thoughts about it now that we've talked about it a bit? Any more to share at this point? Or a
As I
motion?
Mr. Chairman, as I stated before, I would add the condition that the basement space cannot be finished for purposes of living space. I would add that as
Is that the
condition.
start of your motion, or is that you're sort of passing that football?
No, I'm just putting it out there. I think that maybe gets us to where we need to be, but
It does. That works.
Yeah, this is Amy, and I want to make sure the applicant understands, I know Mr. Rosen understands, that condition would be eliminated if you come back to the board and get approval for additional space. But that is the condition that would stand until a new decision is issued.
right.
Yes, we understand that. Thank you, Amy, for clarifying that.
Anyone want to provide a motion for this one?
I guess I'll do it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Let me just say before I offer the motion, Ms. Totten, God bless, and I wish you all the best in your recovery and in your treatment. God bless. This is a motion to approve the petition of Emily and Craig Totten, 900 Tuckertown Road, Wakefield, for a special use permit, which is required under our zoning ordinance section 503.2. Accessory apartments are allowed with a special use permit, and under section 907 standards of relief. The entire application has and documents have been identified by the chairman and have been read into the record. Mr. Josh Rosen spoke on behalf of the applicant, and Emily Totten, the owner of the property, also spoke on her behalf as the applicant. There were no individuals that have appeared or spoken or entered any correspondence in the record in opposition. Once again, the materials have been identified by the chairman previously, and they're all in order, including the site plan. The board finds that the special use is specifically authorized by this ordinance because under 503.2, accessory apartments are allowed up to 750 square feet. This application is for an accessory apartment of 750 square feet with an additional proposed covered porch, 6 by 12, which is advertised properly in the agenda, in the notice, I should say. The board finds that the special use meets all of the criteria set forth in the subsection of this ordinance authorizing the special use because once again, the limitation is a 750 square foot accessory building. By submission of documents and by testimony, the applicant has made that clear that that's what the dimensions of the accessory apartment will be, and has it made it clear that the 6 by 12 covered porch will also be considered as part of the special use permit. The board finds that the granting of this use permit will not alter the general characteristics of the surrounding area or impair the intent and purpose of the ordinance or the comprehensive community plan. This is a 5-acre parcel with an additional 20 acres as farmland. It's certainly plenty of room for an accessory apartment. And just as a note, no additional dimensional variance is required. We have determined that the ingress and egress to the proposed structure will remain the same. There's no change based on testimony from Mr. Rosen to the entrance, the driveway and entrance to this accessory apartment. There is no issue with off-street parking or loading. There's no issue with trash storage or delivery. Utilities are already in place. The OWTS is approved for 4 bedrooms, and this will additional structure will add 1 bedroom to what exists. There's no screening or buffering of any type required. Once again, this is a wide open space with no neighbors nearby, and nothing is required in that regard. There are no signs that will be, or exterior lighting that will affect anything with the accessory apartment. And it's certainly compatible with the same or abutting zoning districts. There are several other outbuildings on the property. There are greenhouses on the property. So an accessory apartment will certainly be in keeping with the abutting owners and within the zone, which is in a R200. This approval is subject to one condition, and the condition is that the basement space cannot be finished for purposes of living space. And it should be noted that should the applicant wish to, at some point in the future, finish that space, which then becomes livable space, they would need to come back to the board for an additional special use permit. And with that, I move passage.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rosen. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Daniels,
Aye.
Mr. Rosen,
Aye.
Mr. Charkowik,
Aye.
and Ms. Walsh. Motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck.
Good luck.
Best of luck, Emily.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys so much. And thank you, Mr. Daniels. I'm doing my best here.
Okay. God bless.
Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Okay, the next is petition of Scott Reamer of 3 Plum Court from Katona, New York, 10536 for dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a 6-foot by 14-foot deck attached to this single family dwelling. The deck will be located 19.9 feet from the property line. The required front yard setback is 25 feet. The relief of 5.1 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.23 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance section 207, non-conforming lots of record, building setback requirements, and then section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the property is Sean and Karen Reimer. I'll say it a different way each time. For premises located at 178 Balsam Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 83-2, Lot 222, and is zoned R30. And for documents tonight, we have the application signed and dated November 26, 2021. Owner authorization and signed and notarized November 26, 2021. The plot plan prepared by Dowdle Engineering Associates LLC and stamped by Robert Cushon, PLS, dated November 19, 2021. 200-foot radius map and a butters list, legal notice, proof of certified mailings, and notarized affidavit of mailing. Revised legal notice with the Zoom instructions. So who is here tonight for this application?
Scott Reamer.
Scott Reamer. Okay, Mr. Reamer, I now know how to say it. Anyone, just yourself?
Yes,
Okay. Please state and spell your name, please.
Scott Reamer, SCOTT RIEMER.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us what you want to do.
I have a couple of pictures to show you, to share with you. Bear with me one sec.
Mhm.
So here's the front of the house. We just put this small addition on and redid the front. I don't have access into the front. So what I wanted to do was just have a little access from our driveway, which will come in from the right side. And the 6x14 will encompass stairs from the front and from the side for functionality and for aesthetics. So what I did was I just, for argument's sake, I just basically took some of the, some wood just to show everybody kind of what it looks like. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger here. So hang on one second because I have other pictures to show. Here we go. Here's another angle from the front of the house, just showing what I'm looking for to add.
So it's not a covered deck?
No,
It's just
no,
how
no.
many
So what I
steps?
did was this is the back of the house. This is exactly what I want to do just in the front. Couple of steps up, a small landing so that I can access the house from the driveway side, which is to the right, and from the front of the house. And that's pretty much it. The 6x14, as I mentioned, encompasses the stairs as well. So basically, it's just a landing.
Okay. Makes sense.
And that's
So previous to this, what do you have approved? What are you allowed to do at this point? Are you just allowed technically to have 3 steps leading up to your door, or?
let me see if I can undo this. Yeah, I defer to Jamie. I don't have access right in there, so you could see.
So I guess my question is, you had an entrance previous. You just want something a little bit.
I had
Better.
Previous to this, I had 2 steps on a 3x3, which I fell off of bringing packages in. So I just wanted something a little bit larger so we can walk up, get into the house, and make it look aesthetically and functional. That's all. I could have, when I was speaking with Jamie about this, he said, if you're doing this, make it larger. My answer is I don't need it larger. I just needed something functional.
Okay. Excellent. Board members, any questions for Mr. Reamer?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Walsh.
Yeah, I was looking at the drawing. So the addition has already been made.
Correct.
That's all within the footprint.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was a little confused about, because I agree, the house looks really nice.
Thank you.
So you're just asking for the small deck in the back to finish it off,
In the front, yes.
in the front to
Yes,
finish
Ms.
it
Walsh.
off. So it
Yes.
matches the deck in the back. Okay,
Exactly.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other board members, questions?
Mr. Reimer, if I may, could you, after the meeting, email me the pictures and I'll add those as applicants exhibit 1 and 2?
Certainly.
Okay, and I think you have my email.
I think we've conversed before.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from board members? Jessica, is there anyone out there that's shown any interest in this petition?
There's no one out there, period.
Nobody cares about me.
Well, you know, it should have been advertised better, I think. Okay, so do you want to add anything? Or are you good, Mr. Reamer?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Straightforward.
Board members, any other questions or thoughts or motions?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Go ahead, Ms. Walsh. Go for it.
I will. Okay, the motion is to approve the addition of a deck in accordance with section 207, non-conforming lot of record with the setback. Is to provide relief of 5.1 feet in the front yard in order to beautify the front door and finish off the property with stairs that are safe and comfortable. Mr. Scott Reamer spoke in favor, in support of the application, the request, and no one spoke in opposition. The chairman read out the list of materials that were entered into the record. The board finds that the hardship from which this application seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to any physical or economic disability of the applicant, except those physical disabilities that would be addressed. The reason that this is a hardship and is not due to the unique characteristics of the subject land is because it relates to the non-conforming lot of record. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action on the part of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based, because the house is very much in character with the neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhood. The board finds that the relief to be granted is the least relief necessary. And this is in order to make the front entrance safe and in conformance with the other houses in the area. The board finds that the subject land or structure cannot yield any beneficial use if it is required to conform to the provisions of the zoning ordinance, because Mr. Reamer would be required to walk through a muddy yard to get to the front door. And and there are no additional conditions.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Walsh. Were you done? I'm sorry.
Yes, I think this is fairly straightforward, and I think Mr. Reamer, now that he came
excellent.
forward to present it, it's very clear.
Excellent. Okay. So can I get a second?
I'll second.
A second from Ms. Charkowik. Any other discussion? Ms. Walsh,
Aye.
Mr. Charkowik,
Aye.
Mr. Daniels,
Aye.
Mr. Rosen,
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you very much, everybody. Be well.
Thank you. Have a good night. You too.
You too.
So, okay. Next petition is the petition of James McKelvey of 109 Columbia Street, Wakefield, Rhode Island, 02879 for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a 16-foot 4-inch by 19-foot 5-inch detached garage. The proposed garage will be located 20 feet from the corner side property line. The required corner side setback is 25 feet, so a relief of 5 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.14 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance section 208, non-conforming lots of record, accessory building setback requirements, and section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the property is James M. and Laria Joe McKelvey for premises located 109 Columbia Street, South Kingstown, Rhode Island. Assessors map 57-1, lot 201, and is zoned R10. For documents, we have the application signed and dated November 15th, 2021. The owner authorization signed and notarized November 13th, 2021. Cover page with site plan, floor plan, and details of G01-109-501, prepared by Providence Architecture. Survey and plot plan, one page prepared by George DuPont, PLS dated January 6, 2022. Variance drawings A109 prepared by Providence Architecture, one page dated January 19th, 2022. There's also a 200-foot radius map and a butters list, legal notice, proof of certified mailing, and notarized affidavit of mailing, revised legal notice with the Zoom instructions. And who is here tonight for this?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim McKelvey. I'm the owner of 109 Columbia Street. I've also got Kevin Diamond from Providence Architecture with us tonight.
Mr. Diamond, how are you?
Hello. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Yes.
So is it just going to be the two of you guys?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay, so Mr. McKelvey, why don't you state your name?
James McKelvey. It's McKelvey.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And Mr. Diamond, do the same, please.
Kevin Diamond, KEVINDIAMOND, and I swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Excellent. So go ahead, Mr. McKelvey.
Thank you. Appreciate your time this evening. So we are the owners of the 109 Columbia Street. We're seeking a variance to build a detached one-car garage. 109, the residence faces Columbia Street, but we are on the corner of Hope Court. So the garage will be on the rear of the property. The current parking area is off of Hope Court. We had a storage shed there previously, but one of the storms last summer destroyed that. So our hope is to replace the storage shed that was previously in that area with the garage. And because of the size of the garage, we are requesting the 5-foot relief from the required 25-foot setback on the side corner lot. One thing I would note, the original 16 by 19 was drawn off GIS. We'd since got the professional survey. So to maintain the minimum relief, we did have to adjust that size of the building a little bit. So the new revised plan is 12 by 4 by 23 feet. So there's some adjustment to the plan, but it still maintains the same relief. Kevin, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else beyond that.
No, very, very well put. I would say, again, kind of like what Jim said, maybe the only complicating factor here that I can see some questions on is the fact that we had to very quickly pivot our design with great speed as soon as we received the professional survey. we modified the plan and turned it back around same day, as soon as we realized what the constraints actually were. So we basically adjusted the proportions of the garage. It actually, the square footage dropped very slightly. Instead of being short and wide, it became a little bit more narrow and a bit longer, just to accommodate that rear yard setback. So if there are any questions about what we're actually proposing, I do have the latest an addendum that I can share. I also have a 3D model of the site showing what we'd like to do, which hopefully can allay some any concerns or questions that might arise.
So it looks like you essentially, made it 4 inches skinnier and
Yeah, about
several
4.
inches longer.
Yeah.
Approximately 4 feet.
I mean, 4 feet, I'm sorry, 4 feet
No, it's fine.
skinnier.
I
sorry.
assumed that's what you meant.
So
Yeah.
about 4 feet skinnier and about 4 feet longer.
Yeah, yeah. Essentially, just so we all understand the program of this, it was originally drawn to be a single car garage with on the side of it to be essentially a storage closet that would be accessed off the outside. And once we realized that we didn't have as much backyard as we thought, we just said, okay, well, we'll just take that storage closet and rotate it and put it on the back. No harm, no foul. And the design was changed. The intent's still the same. We just pivoted, and that's how you do it.
Okay, and since the setback is staying the same, it's really not relevant. And we could just make the change of the dimension of the structure in
Exactly.
motion.
Yeah, our relief request is actually there's no difference in our relief request. We're literally just changing the design of the building to match what our relief request was. Our primary goal tonight is to get this passed and to move forward and we didn't want to put any additional delays on ourselves by trying to change our relief. So our goal was to just say, okay, hey, we asked for this relief and we don't want to be too bullheaded and try to ask for more relief. We'll just adjust our design and get creative with it and make this work.
And we really didn't want to encroach really on the backyard to a point where, I kind of like that 6 foot setback, that space there, just between the properties.
Board members, any questions for the applicant and witness?
Yeah, I have
Before-
one question.
No, Mr. Rosen, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Bill Rosen. You said there was an original shed there that was destroyed during a storm. Is the garage going to be the same square footage as the original shed, or the footprint the same?
No, the storage shed was only 10 by 12, so we'll increase the footprint using the garage because it'll be 4 by 23.
Okay.
It's in roughly the same location, but correct, it is larger.
Yeah, you're not far from the high school. Do you find that there's a parking problem down there?
Honestly, we just moved in July, so I haven't really noticed. There's some morning traffic and some traffic in the evening, but I don't see any parking really beyond School Street.
Yeah.
I live around the corner from, sorry to cut you off. I live right around the corner from Jim on Hope Court. And in fact, I used to live at 109 Columbia Street. And in my experience being on this corner, the main parking concerns are around funerals, actually. For the funeral parlor, just a few doors towards downtown. And that's when, if there's a very prominent service happening, there are cars lined all the way up Columbia. It rarely extends all the way to Hope Court, that intersection, which is where this home is located. But it does definitely dot right along Columbia when there's a big service there.
Yeah, that was my concern, that Hope Court is a kind of a small street. So, and people come in there and park. I know that high school students park in all different places, but
Yeah, I've never seen high school student park on Hope Court, but
okay.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only question I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Daniels.
Thank you. Yeah, just one question. It looks like you have a 6 foot space between the existing building and the garage, did you give any consideration to an attached garage?
That, so if you don't mind, Jim, would you mind?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I've given a lot of thought to this house over the last several years. When I first purchased it, my wife and I, a couple of years back, it was in shambles. And we fully renovated the home from the outside in, all systems, everything completely. It was on the border of being a knockdown, and we completely rehabilitated the property. Our goal when Jim contacted me and said, "Hey, I think we should do a garage at this property. It's a necessity for our lifestyle. We really need to do this." My first intention was, how can we preserve the historic character of this property? The home was built in the late 1800s, I suspect, in which is truly a unique American Gothic style. I think touching that home with anything, in my opinion, as an architect, just didn't seem like the right thing to do. I thought that the most prudent move would be to be near it, but not even too close to it. I think you want to have a relief. And moreover, our plan was to come up with something that actually communicates with the last time the home was messed with, which was in 1949, I believe, when they added the kitchen off the rear of the home. And then when doing so, they did it with a very low slope roof in kind of a haphazard way, in my opinion. So the entire intent of the design was to basically play off of what they did in the 40s to actually give meaning to that addition, to make it feel a little bit more cohesive. So it didn't seem like the house has just been added on and added on and added on. Instead of this sort of telescopic home that's just been gobbed onto, the intent was to be the original Gothic form in this new thing off the back that reads as a much more pure idea. So that was the notion of why we did this. And in terms of the gap between the garage and the home, that's purely functional, is to be able to get things to the backyard that are large. So that's truly the only thoroughfare that you're going to be able to get something through. If you're coming in with groceries, or you're moving furniture in, or you're doing things, having lived in that home, that front door is not very wide, and neither is the space that it leads to.
The only thing I would add, and it's to Kevin's point, I think putting an attached garage would kind of destroy the character of the house. As a matter of fact, we talked a lot about, and I'll give Kevin credit, his inspiration for this was the building right next to the walking path downtown. So if you see the renderings, it's very similar to the way that is. And, we have some financial constraints. We're looking for some ways to cut costs. One of those is maybe put a different siding than the clapboard siding, which is on the house. And I finally want a discussion with my wife, because I think we need to try to maintain the character of the house and everything. So we're going to use the same siding, the same materials on the outside of the garage as the house, just to make sure we have that flow.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions by board members? No.
I think it's a great, Mr. Chairman, I think it's a great design and it's very similar to other houses that are being renovated in the neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think by leaving the space, you let light into the house also.
True.
Thank you. There is a window there to the
Yeah.
kitchen. So in that's everything when you're inside that kitchen, having light in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's great. Okay. Any other questions, board members? No. You guys want to add anything?
I had a question that maybe while we have everyone together here, you can just kind of help guide us. We all know the best design happens when you're not in a vacuum. So I know the Providence zoning ordinance a lot firmer than I do the South Kingstown one, admittedly. So this question, it would be a much easier thing for me to answer there than here. But assuming we can figure out the location of this footprint and get this variance approved, as we move this design forward and propel a set of construction drawings, we wanted to understand, are there constraints in terms of the eaves of this roof, basically projecting over that 6-foot setback in the rear that we've had to redesign to avoid? We certainly don't want to slip anything under the radar. But at the same time, we want to understand, obviously having a projected eave is really important for things like runoff and also style. I mean, the home, that's really what makes this house so stinking adorable. It's got these wonderful eaves and it's just, it's, I've never met a house like it. It's completely unique. And we don't want to put something that's coming into play here that just is kind of stubby. So would this be an allowable encroachment? I couldn't find anything in the ordinance pertaining to this.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but Mr. Gorman.
So the ordinance allows 1 foot of projection.
Okay.
Whether it be a chimney or bump out detail or soffit design like you have.
Okay. That answers my question. So I think if there were going to be an overhang, going any more than that wouldn't, that makes sense.
Anyone out there, Jessica?
No one?
Okay. So anyone have any thoughts on this or?
It's a cute house.
It is.
Yeah. And I wish them all the luck in the world, and I hope the garage looks as cute as the house.
Kevin did a great job. I will commend him. Obviously, we bought it from him, so the inside is just as nice as the outside too.
Well, and you hired him even after that, so that shows even more confidence. So that's great.
Wow. Thank you all.
Okay.
It's a very special property.
Yeah, it certainly is, and thank you for hanging on to it with its style. It's very unique, and it's I think it defines a lot of what Wakefield is. So anyhow, someone want to make a motion relative to it?
I guess I'll make the motion.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to approve the petition as described by the chairman from the agenda for a setback of 5 feet in accordance with section 208 of the zoning ordinance. Mr. James McKelvey, the owner of the cute house, spoke on behalf of constructing a detached garage in the back of the property. And Mr. Kevin Diamond, the former owner and also the architect for the detached garage, also spoke on behalf of this petition. There was no opposition or further support of the petition. And the materials that were entered in by the chairman to the record were stated previously. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant. The detached garage that they want to put is going to go in the place where the former shed that was torn down during the storm was, and will not impede with, is not attached to the house and will allow for entrance by the owners, etc., to the backyard so that they can, and to the kitchen, so that they can properly bring in materials and work with the present conditions that are there. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. He really wants to keep the historic nature of the house intact, and by attaching a detached garage that will blend in with the structure of the house that was built late in the 1800s. I assume that he's going to succeed. We shall see. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. It's going to blend in with the neighborhood, and it's not going to create any further parking problems in that neighborhood, which is sometimes heavily trafficked and has a lot of parking problems on occasion, mainly because it's very close to downtown Wakefield. The board finds that the relief to be granted is the least relief necessary. They've worked very, very hard to put this detached garage in an appropriate place and with an appropriate design. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience because they're ready to go. So I move approval of the petition.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen. Can I get a second?
Nobody.
Second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Charkowik. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Rosen,
Aye.
Mr. Charkowik,
Aye.
Ms. Walsh,
Aye.
Mr. Daniels,
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck, guys.
Thank you all. Appreciate your
Can't wait
time.
to see it. No problem. Thank you. The next, does anyone need to take a break? We're good for another one? Okay. Next is the petition of Caroline Wilkel of 101 Angelfish Lane, Jupiter, Florida, 34477 for a dimensional variance. Under the zoning ordinance as follows, the applicant is seeking to construct a 14 by 22 foot accessory structure on the property. The applicant also seeks to construct an addition to the first story of an existing dwelling. Both the accessory structure and dwelling addition will be located 13 feet from the front property line. The required front yard setback is 35 feet. Relief of 22 feet is requested. The proposed building height for the accessory structure is 20 feet. Accessory structure height limit is 15 feet. The relief of 5 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.45. Dimensional variance is required per zoning ordinance section 207. Non-conforming lots of record, building setback requirements. Section 208, non-conforming lots of record, accessory building setback requirements. Section 503, accessory structures, and section 907, standards of relief. The owner of the property is Caroline S. Wilkel Trust for premises located at 1039 Batunic Beach Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 93-4, Lot 14, and is zoned R20. And for this petition, we have an application signed and dated November 26, 2021. Owner authorization signed and notarized November 26, 2021. Architectural drawings of A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and A1 and A2, prepared by Laura Krikorian, AIA, and stamped by Laura Krikorian, AIA, and Mr. George, PE, and dated August 10th, 2021. Plot plan, 1 page, prepared by Dowdle Engineering Associates, LLC, and stamped by Robert Couchon, PLS, dated December 2nd, 2021. 200-foot radius map and a butters list, legal notice, proof of certified mailings, notarized affidavit of mailing, revised legal notice with Zoom instructions. And then there's one correspondence by Mr. Froelich of 1061 Matunic Beach Road. Who is here for this petition?
I am, Mr. Chairman, Laura Krikorian, architect.
Good evening, Laura. And
And
who
my
else?
client, Caroline Wilkel, is here as well.
Excellent, excellent. So could you both please spell your names, please?
Sure. My name is Laura Krikorian, Laura, last name Krekorin.
And
Caroline Wilkel, Caroline Wilkel.
I'll swear you both in. Do you swear to both tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, great. So please go ahead and tell us what you guys like to do.
Sure. So as I said, my name's Laura Krikorian. I am a licensed architect here in Wakefield. I've been in business 28 years. And my office is right at Main Street, just in case you needed to know anything more about my professional credentials. I am here with my client, Caroline Wilco. She's the owner of the property at 1039 Matunic Beach Road. This is a 19,785 square foot lot. It is in an R20 zone, just under the 20,000 square feet. So it is a substandard lot of record. It is also in a V14 flood zone. And it is located with Matunic Beach Road along the north property line and the Block Island Sound along the south property line. I wanted to make note that as of last year, this actually was 2 separate lots with the existing house on one lot and plans for a second single-family residence, 2-bedroom dwelling to be constructed on the empty lot that was adjacent. But in reviewing the town's zoning ordinance, flood zone regulations, and working with DEM and Coastal Resources, my client decided to scale back her plans for the property. And she did combine those 2 lots into one lot. So that is the 19,785 square foot lot that you see today on this plan. And that means that not only did it come into almost conforming with the R20 zone, which was kind of nice, but also that it will only be developed with a single family residence on it and 1 septic system. So that being said, this project does consist of 2 parts, just so that's clear. There is an existing house on the property that we're proposing a small addition to the east and north side. And then there is an accessory structure proposed along the east property line. Let's see. So I'll address the house first. The house was built in 1930. It's been there a long time. There are a lot of really neat things about the house that my client really loves and that are very appealing. It's got a sweet cottage shape with a kind of steeper slope cape style roof. It's got a little front porch. There's a beautiful fieldstone chimney and fireplace on the west side. So there's quite a lot about the house that my client really didn't want to change. We did review and really study the existing conditions and found that the 2 items that were lacking a bit were the kitchen and the entry area, which are cramped and small. So once we discovered that and decided to work on those areas only on the house, I did explain that they're located on the north side of the house, adjacent to the front yard setback and actually completely in the front yard setback. So anything we did to that side of the house, I had explained to my client that would require a zoning variance even to continue that non-conforming side. But that is where the kitchen is located now, and we don't have any other place to put it in the house. So that is, and the entry is on the front facing the road. So that is the area in the house that we needed to work on. Being built in 1930, there weren't any zoning regulations at that time, and the house was built in this location at about just over 13 feet from the front property line to the front of the house. So my client didn't construct the house there. It was constructed in 1930 in this location. We did work really hard to minimize what we were adding on to the house. So the kitchen addition that's proposed to the east side is it's only 8 by 12. So we felt that that was the least of the size that we could manage to fit the kitchen in there. And it is only a 1-story structure, and the proposal would be to wrap the if you look at the elevations I provided, would be to wrap that 1-story roof around to the front porch and expand the front porch a little bit so that she has a little bit more area for sitting there and for actually walking back and forth into the house to access the house, because that is the main entry into the house. So that hip roof that would wrap around the north and then around to the east side of the house, we felt was kind of important for continuity to fit the addition in with the existing structure. And the porch being only 13 feet to the property line. We're not encroaching any closer with this addition, but we are requesting that we be able to continue that non-conforming side and align the proposed section of porch with the existing. So that pretty much addresses the house. And then the other part of the project is the accessory structure. We did look at the house to see if there was any place where we could fit these elements in the house. And there are currently 4 bedrooms, most likely to be 3 bedrooms and 1 bath upstairs on the 2nd floor. So there was no room for a workout area or any kind of craft room or anything up there. And obviously there's no garage on the property right now. So the accessory structure really would be to accommodate an exercise area, a kind of family room, craft room area, all one big space, but where she could set up a table and, for instance, do crafts with her grandkids. Maybe set up a puzzle that you don't have to take off the dining room table every time you want to eat dinner. So this is really a room where she could do that. And then because we had to raise it up to get it up out of the flood zone, we were proposing that the garage would be underneath the structure. We did look at trying to attach the accessory structure to the house. The septic system is alongside the house in the western yard, so that, and there is a fieldstone fireplace on that side of the house, so that wasn't really an option for an addition. If we were to attach it to the kitchen area along the east side of the house, that would block all the natural light coming into the kitchen and the dining room and the living room, as well as any views out. So, and also we felt that attaching it to the house would have changed the look and the scale of the existing cottage, which is very sweet, and made it look much more blocky and larger, and that wasn't something that we thought would aesthetically be pleasing. So with the accessory structure, we were able to slide the structure over to the east property line. We do meet the side and the rear yard setbacks with it, and we were proposing to align it with the existing house at the 13 feet to the front of this structure, thinking that that created a sort of sense of continuity as well along the street, but it also allowed us to keep it further away from the coastal feature in the rear. The rear of this structure doesn't go any closer to the coastal feature than the existing house does. So that was important too. It also allowed us to make it as small as possible. The 14 by 23 is sized for a 1-car garage underneath. It does need to be raised up to bring it up out of the flood zone. So that was where the storage area and garage space would be underneath. But locating it here on the side, on the east side of the property line, also allowed the yard in between the house and the structure to be maintained as open space, which it has always been. And that was also important for Caroline in terms of not affecting her neighbors in a huge way. Anyone walking along Matunic Beach Road would still have that open space in the middle there to be able to view through to the ocean. And that is also where she plants her garden every year. So maintaining that open space between the two structures was important. In terms of the height of the structure, we are asking for a 5-foot height variance. We do have to raise the living space up out of the flood zone. So that was one reason for the request, but we did work really hard to minimize the request as well for the height. The floor to ceiling in the garage area below is only 7'6". So it's just enough for pulling it in with a 7-foot high garage door. We also minimized the depth of the structure. This structure does need to be built up on pilings. So typically you would install the pilings, set a beam on top of the pilings and the joists on top of that. In this case, we brought the joists down to be in the same cavity as beams. So we took another foot off the top of the structure doing that. And also I had initially wanted to put a much steeper roof slope on this structure to make it kind of match the house. But that would have raised the peak a lot higher as well. So we chose to match the dormer slope instead and went with a 5-pitch. So that brought the peak of the house down even lower still. So we felt we worked really hard to minimize the height variance request. We're requesting a 5-foot variance. We do need to raise it up, like I said, to get it out of the flood zone. And we feel that we did work really hard to minimize, to minimize even the size of the addition that we're proposing on the house. And I feel that the accessory structure and the addition to the house are in keeping with the scale and style of other houses in the area. I also wanted to note on the front yard variance that if this accessory structure were even attached to the house, we would still need to ask for the variance for it because of where the house is located and because we would have to keep any construction as far away from the coastal feature as possible. But if it were the main structure, we might not even need to ask for the variance for the front yard because we would probably be allowed to use the average of the other houses along Matunic Beach Road as our front yard setback. I did talk to Jamie a little bit about that. Because it's an accessory structure, we can't use that as our front yard setback. But if it were the main structure, meeting all of the flood zone requirements like we are, we would be allowed to use that average. And if you've gone down Matunic Beach Road, I'm sure you know that there are an awful lot of other houses and business structures that are located closer to the coast, to the front setback than they're allowed to be. So with that all being said, I would entertain if you have any questions for me or for Caroline, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes,
Awesome.
Mr. Corrigan, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr.
If I
Daniels.
may. Looking at the rear, you mentioned, you testified that you wanted to stay away from the coastal feature.
Mhm.
But it looks like you have 30 feet between the coastal feature and the accessory building. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you consider going back a little further so it would lessen the impact of the variance you're requesting?
The closest corner of the house currently is 30 feet to the coastal feature. So coastal resources typically won't allow you to go closer than the existing structure. That was why the 30 feet was chosen, and we did only go with 20, I think it's 23 feet deep for
So
the
the rear of the existing structure is 30 feet as well?
Yes, there, if you look at the site plan, the inside face of the seawall is the coastal feature and it bumps forward just as it gets to the, let me see, southeast corner of the house.
Okay.
And that is the closest corner to the coastal feature.
And, okay. I see it now. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other board members, questions?
Yeah, I have one question.
Mr. Rosen.
The proposed accessory structure, there's nothing there right now. That's an empty lot, right?
It was an empty lot that was separate from this property,
Yeah, you
but
combined it. I know
Yep.
that.
yep, it's an empty
it-
area. It's a
an
yard.
empty area, yes. Okay. Oh, my question. What's the height of the main house?
I could tell you that. Hold on, I just have to open it and measure it. I can tell you that though, because I did document existing conditions.
I assume you're not adding height to that house.
No, we are not. It is 22, just about 22 feet,
And the accessory structure is going to be how?
20.
20. Oh, okay, so it's lower.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions, board members? Okay. Is there anything you guys wanted to add right now? Before we see if there's anyone out there?
I just wanted to note that Mr. Froelich's letter was in favor of the project, just for the record.
Okay.
It was
Yes.
submitted and you did mention it, but I wanted to make sure you knew it was in favor of the project. And he is the neighbor to the east. And actually, if you look at on the WebGIS, you can see that his house is almost located on the property line in the front. There are parts of his house that are very close to his front property line.
And
Just, yeah, go ahead.
and of note, the two neighbors in back of me that are looking towards the ocean are not objecting either. Right. So
Great.
I'm happy with that.
I was only gonna ask, Jess, I can't seem to find that. Do you have that? Is it part of the application? Is that why?
I can read it if you want.
Sure, go for it.
Received January 13th, 2022. To whom it may concern, with reference to the proposed garage addition in the Wilco property at 1039 Matunic Beach Road, I support the variance to allow the structure to be placed closer to the road and away from the coastal feature. I own the property adjacent and immediately to the east, 1061 Matunic Beach Road. Regards, Mark Froelich.
Excellent. So Jessica, is there anyone out there?
No one.
If you guys don't have anything else to add, board members, any other thoughts, questions, otherwise? It does seem a very layered proposal, but it seems very well thought and in consideration not only of the use, but of the area. So, I mean, I think the design is great, and I think it's sort of the least that can be done for a property like that, especially if they were to split it up into two again. So, anybody else have any thoughts or motions?
Seems okay to me.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Charkowicz.
All right. I'll move to approve the petition of Carolyn Wilkel of 101 Angelfish Lane, Jupiter, Florida. This is for the property located at 109 Matunic Beach Road, South Kingstown, Rhode Island. The applicant is seeking a dimensional variance to construct a 14 by 22 foot accessory structure on the property. Applicant's also seeking to construct an addition to the first story of the existing dwelling. Both the accessory structure and the dwelling addition will be located 3 feet from the property line. Relief of 22 feet is requested on there. The building height will be 20 feet and the accessory structure height's 15 feet. So the request of 5 feet is requested there. The dimensional variance is required under zoning ordinance section 207, 208, 503.1 and section 907. The applicant provided the materials as read into the record by the chairman. Laura Krikorian, the architect for the project, spoke on behalf of the applicant, and the applicant spoke as well. The neighbors have expressed support for this project. One letter was read into the record, and the applicant indicated that other neighbors have also expressed support. There was no opposition to the project tonight or submitted prior to tonight's meeting. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure, not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, not due to physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those physical disabilities addressed in the ordinance. The applicant clearly has exhausted all options here. Tried to do an attached unit, and really did exhaust all options. So this seems to be the only possible way forward. The board finds the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. The applicant here is just seeking to have additional space for exercise and other activities that are not, she doesn't have space for in the house. There'll be a rec room and exercise equipment and things like that. The board finds the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general characteristics of the area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan. This the design looks like it's going to fit in well with the area, and many houses in the area have similar setback issues, so this seems consistent. The relief granted here is the least relief necessary. Again, the applicant really did try to figure out where on the property this could go, and this seems to be the only viable option. With that, I'll move approval. Did I forget anything? Sorry about that one.
We'll see. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion or additions to the motion?
I think he
No.
got it.
I think you did too. Okay, hearing none. Mr. Charkowik?
Aye.
Mr. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Rosen?
Aye.
Ms. Walsh?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
It's
very
an adorable
much.
house. I look forward to seeing it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You're
Thank you.
Okay. Last is the petition of Harpin Family Trust of 92 Indian Trail South, Wakefield, Rhode Island, 02879 for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a 20-foot by 55-foot second-story addition to the existing single-family dwelling. The proposed addition will be located 15 feet from the front property line. The required front yard setback is 35 feet. Relief of 20 feet is requested. The lot size is 0.16 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance section 207 is a non-conforming lots of record building setback requirements. And section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the property is Harpin Family Living Trust for premises located at 92 Indian Trail South, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 34-4, Lot 3, and is zoned R20. And we have an application signed and dated December 10th, 2021. Owner authorization signed and notarized December 10th, 2021. Vision appraisal, field card map 34-4, Lot 3, 4 pages. Proposed site, 1 page. Architectural drawings, 10 pages. Existing site plan, 1 page. Prepared by East Greenwich Surveyors LLC and stamped by Kirk Andrews PLS, dated November 27th, 2021. 200-foot radius map and a butters list, legal notice, proof of certified mailings, and notarized affidavit of mailing. Revised legal notice with Zoom instructions. There's also the correspondence from Steve and Christina Brophy of 93 Indian Head Trail South. And this is a letter of support. It says, I'll just read it now. It says, thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of our lovely neighbors, Mike and Lisa Harpin of 92 Indian Trail South, Wakefield. We live directly across the street from them, and it is a pleasure to know them and have them as our friends. We've been in the neighborhood for 4 years. Mike and Lisa have been here for upwards of 40. One could not ask for nicer neighbors as they are so friendly and considerate of everyone around them. We feel so badly for what happened to their home during the most recent severe storms experienced by late summer of this year. It is our hope that Mike and Lisa can rebuild their home so they can continue to enjoy the neighborhood of which they've been a part of for a very long time. We value them as neighbors and look forward to many more years with them living on Indian Trail. Thank you for your time and consideration. Steve and Christina Brophy of 93 Indian Head Trail. And who's here tonight for this? Nope. You're muted.
Have to unmute.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. How's that? Is that better?
Yes, you are, sir.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I'm Glenn McCrory. I'm actually the contractor that proposing to do the job.
Okay. Okay, great. So if they were going to speak, we'll get them, but spell your name.
Yeah,
for
I
us, please.
believe. Yeah, I think they are on. I believe too. But
No, they're here. I can see
They'll
them,
be
but
fine.
they just,
Yeah,
no, there
okay.
they are.
Okay.
Hi. So could you please spell your name for us, Mr. McCrory?
Yeah, it's Glenn. Last name M, small c, capital C, Rory.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and Micah and Lisa, you guys going to speak as well?
Yes. Can you
Okay,
hear it?
yeah, we can hear you guys. So just spell your names for us, and we'll get you sworn in as well.
Michael, Harpin, Harpin.
And I am Lisa, Lisa, Harpin, Harpin.
And you guys both swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
We do.
And you'll tell us how you were able to extort this letter that they wrote about you guys in such glowing ways?
Good neighbors.
Yeah, really good neighbors.
I've been there. We've owned the house for 43 years, and I'm sure if you guys have ever been down Indian Lake, it's just a beautiful area.
Really
The
is.
neighbors are great people. We absolutely love it there. And this all came about because of the tropical storm Henri this past August, and it hit Indian Lake pretty hard. Just in our neighborhood alone, 5 telephone poles came down, 1 on our property. But what happened was a very large tree next door to us came down and pretty much demolished the roof of the house, came right across the house into our ceiling. Luckily, we had the foresight not to be there the night before we decided to leave. But it pretty much damaged the house severely. And we always thought about the possibility of going up, but we knew we didn't have the frontage for it, the space on the lot. So we felt that up would be the only way to go. And we contacted Glenn along with an engineer, and they figured a way that we could go up. The best way to do that would be to put 4 columns on each corner of the property. We weren't going to go any wider, but we did have to come out. The back wasn't a problem, but the front was where we ran into problems. And Glenn, you can probably explain that better than we can.
Yeah, I imagine when you submitted, you probably submitted drawings. So I don't know if you guys all see the drawings that we did. There's an existing foundation that's a full foundation under the house, but there is a slab and foundation in the front and the rear of the house. And we know that they are not deep enough to support the weight of the new structure on top. And there was a super light structure, the one that got demolished, very light trusses, all 2x4 constructed trusses. So no matter what we do, we'll be putting a decent amount of weight back on this building. So it was suggested to transfer the weight just in front of the existing foundation and slab that's in the front of the house. 4 piers right across the front, 4 piers across the back. The back, again, is no issue because there's no setback problems back there. But the front, the house looks like it sits way back, but they kind of have an abnormal amount of side or setback from the main street to this. That's actually part of the street coverage. So the house even looks like it's way back, but it's really not because of this, the type of varying boundaries that go along with Indian Lake South. But so anyways, these 4 piers would be planted right in front of the existing footing / stairs. So it's really needed to do this way to not have to demolish any of the building that's there, as well as the slab, stairs, which all appear to be in good shape. And the only way, of course, to replace this with a deep enough foundation is to demolish that front section of the house, which by coming forward 7 feet, we get just in front of the existing concrete work that's there. And there'll be 4 decorative columns, which you might see in the picture. So aesthetically, it'll look nice, and it will pick up the load of the second floor, which would be set back slightly anyways, but it's going to be, the load to be transferred from laminated beams from the main structure that has a full foundation to the oversized piers that would be poured in front of this, so that the load is not going to be or the front section of the house that doesn't have a deep enough foundation is not going to be needed to carry the load. It'll be attached to it.
Your intent is you're getting a little bit closer to the front and the back because of the location of these new posts.
Right.
So
Yeah.
essentially the size of that post is your growth within your existing footprint.
Yeah, they'll actually be like 18-inch poured sonotubes that would be below grade, that will pick up 4 large piers or 4 large columns that'll pick up the load of the second floor, but just slightly advanced what's there now allows them to not have to demolish what's there, you know, it's, and of course it'd be a totally different job, of course, if they had to do that.
But essentially, you're keeping the same footprint on the side, but you're just coming in
Yeah,
front of the
yeah.
size of those pilings.
Yeah,
basically,
no
with
side,
yours.
no side setbacks at all. It's, yeah, it's all really just to advance what's there enough to pour some good structure, yeah.
And Ms. Harpen, you just put up one of the images, the drawing, and I just have to ask this. That's an adorable drawing. Who did that drawing for you guys?
Oh, I did.
You did.
I'm a dinosaur. I still hand draw everything. Yeah.
I love it. No, it's
Yeah.
very nice.
It's gonna be a cute house. Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a cute
no,
house.
I appreciate the shading.
Well, you can see
everything.
the four,
It's
see
above
the
and
four
beyond.
columns there. Those 4 columns, even though it looks like a porch, it's actually structure. And it'll be
Yeah.
picking up that, the second floor. Yeah.
Okay. So, but you are taking down the.
With the lake community.
We're tearing the existing roof off the building now, back down to the top plates, whichever
You're
ones
gonna
aren't
keep the wall
damaged. Yeah.
structure.
Right,
You're
yeah.
going to keep the walls.
Yeah, the wall structure, yeah, which has all been, Kerrigan Engineering did all the, the verifying of all the initial foundation, but he again said the same thing that I saw it when I was there. This foundation's not deep enough to handle all the loads of today. It just wouldn't be a code to pass, it couldn't pass code today to do it.
But your side walls you can still maintain
Exactly.
those. They're
Yeah,
okay.
they stay just like they are, yeah.
Okay. Board members, questions for the applicant and Mr. McCrory, excuse me.
Just one question. How high, what's the height of the house going to be when the second story is in?
I think it's 26, but I did put it on the application, I believe. I believe it's gonna be 26. Yeah, it's quite a bit under maximum building height. We're trying to keep
Yeah,
it
the
looking like a
application-
cottage.
Application says 27.
Okay, 27 then, yeah, that
Height
was,
above grade.
yeah, that's it. It was, it's really to continue looking like a cottage. Yeah, it's trying to keep it short.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other board members, questions for the applicant or Mr. McCrory? No. Jessica, is anyone else out there gonna grace us
Mr.
with their
Chairman?
words? Yes,
I had a quick question, probably for Jamie or Bo.
Ms. Walsh. Yep.
Just for my understanding. Okay, on the application, the size of the existing structure is 800 square feet. And then the proposed building addition are 1,800, but that's really the total. The new total, right?
Correct. And I think the 800 might even be a little more than that. That might be the initial foundation. I do have that drawn out.
'Cause I was gonna say, you're probably adding 3 or 4 stories.
No.
If you're adding 1,800, so that
Yeah, no,
really
no.
is the total.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, well, again, I think the, what's there is gonna be a porch on the first floor, so of course it doesn't, the second floor will, that is total with proposed and existing, yep.
And then the variance you're requesting is about 5 feet in the front.
I think it's 7. I think it's
I was
7. The
looking-
difference,
Yeah,
difference between 15 and 21, 2110 or something. It's kind of, it's a weird number, but I think it's, 22-1 is, 22-1 is existing, and the finish would be at 15.
yeah.
So
and
the
if you do
difference
the-
The difference would be 7, yeah.
Yep, okay, thank you.
And that 7 gets us, just in front of you, can kind of see a drawing there from the surveyor. He put that concrete step slab that's there that would like to remain, yeah.
Yep.
Actually, the relief requested is 20 feet.
Well, I think the
That's on the
setback
front
is that,
property line.
yeah, because I think it's a non-conforming already. I think it's already 21, where it's supposed to be 25, I think, or
Supposed
what's
to be
your?
35.
Okay, then, yeah, that would, the difference from what they have now is 22, they'd be going to 15, so it was already closer than today's zoning, I believe.
Yeah, so this is Jamie Gorman. The existing structure doesn't meet the front yard required setback. So because you're going up, even if you weren't doing the addition on the front, you would still need relief for that second story.
Yeah, to create the second floor in the airspace that would be occupying it, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Jessica, still, there's no one there?
No one.
Okay. All right. Do you guys have anything to add to your application?
A long road.
We just
No,
can't
I
wait.
bet it has.
We
I
miss
bet
being
it has.
August.
Well,
Especially
I'm
trying
sure
to
it's
get
gonna
people in the pandemic to work. It's-
Right.
They were lucky to find the surveyor that wasn't booked for 2 years.
Right, yeah, I really
Well
think
done.
about Kirk Andrews really coming to our rescue when we really needed him. And I can't thank the zoning department, to Jessica and, building inspector. and-
Everybody's been very
and
helpful.
Jamie, and yes, thank you all very much. You've been
Oh,
very
it's a good
kind
group.
to us.
They make it look easy for us. So, okay, so do you guys have anything? So nothing else to add? Board members, questions, comments, otherwise?
Nope.
Seems very reasonable. They're going on the existing footprint as much as they can. They're just maximizing, they're just going up. So it seems very
necessary.
reasonable. Yeah,
It's necessary.
absolutely. How strongly do you feel about that, Mr. Rosen?
I wouldn't want to be living there right now.
Doesn't
Roof
sound
has
like
a
it.
full cover, there are massive holes. House is not livable, by any means, so.
Heartbreaking.
Doesn't look like it.
Ready for snow.
This
Hopefully
this
the tarp
weekend-
holds up.
Yeah, exactly, right? The tarps. Fingers. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Walsh, go for it.
Okay, a motion to approve the petition of, for setback, variance for going up on the part of the Harpin Family Trust at 92 Indian Trail South in Wakefield. The chairman, Mr. Chairman, you read in the materials, and the following individuals spoke. Mr. Glenn McCrory spoke on as a representative, and then Lisa and Michael Harpin spoke on their own behalf. There was a letter of support sent in by a longtime neighbor. Well, they haven't been there that long, but I know the Harpins have been at this location for 40 years and are apparently very good neighbors. And there's the Steve and Christina Brophy sent in a letter of support. And there were no individuals speaking in opposition of the request. And the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to any physical or economic disability of the applicant. The reason they're seeking this variance is because of a storm that took out the roof of the current residence. And they would like to obviously make an investment and repair the house by replacing the roof and at the same time adding a second story. And part of this work will include adding a concrete strengthening, excuse me if I use the wrong terms, but strengthening the foundation in order to cover the weight, to carry the weight of the second story. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. The applicant would like to move back into their house and enjoy their home and their neighborhood. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impede the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. The structure will maintain the current footprint as they are building up, so they're not they don't really need relief on either side. The board finds that the relief to be granted is the least relief necessary because it sounds like they've done a lot of careful work to review the land and how they can best make the house livable again. And the board finds that the subject land or structure cannot yield any beneficial use at all if it is required to conform to the provisions of the zoning ordinance. Because I think from what I'm understanding, the house is not livable at this time. And there are no conditions. This is not subject to any conditions for approval.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Walsh. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Rosen. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Walsh,
Aye.
Mr. Rosen,
Aye.
Mr. Daniels,
Aye.
Mr. Charkowik,
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
for your
you.
time. Okay, thank you, Glenn.
Good night, guys. I could talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, all right, we just have to check for next month to make sure everyone is going to be here.
And
Jessica, what-
Rob, I just want to note, I don't know if the governor's executive order allowing remote participation by board members will be renewed. It's set to expire on February 4th. I'll keep you posted, but there's a possibility we may have to appear in person for next month's meeting. So just stay tuned. You'll know as soon as I know.
Okay.
all right, everyone's going to be here?
As far as I know.
First, the plan, right? So,
I just turned 80 years old, so
did you really?
Congratulations.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Congratulations.
thank you.
You still
What's the-
celebrating him at 80?
I wasn't too happy to be 80, but
Oh, come on, you look great.
What do you
the
drink?
new
I'll bring you a
40.
bottle.
Yeah, there you go.
we'll see much longer it goes on.
God bless. bro.
But life
Yeah.
is good.
Happy birthday.
Excellent. Yeah, enjoy.
Can you just tell me the date one more time? I'm sorry.
February 16th.
That's not during, yeah, that, I think that's good.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you all.
Okay.
Thank
We have
you.
to approve some
Yeah.
minutes.
See you in 3 weeks or whatever it is.
No minutes. Yeah, no minutes.
No minutes?
this time.
Nope, I don't have last week's
Oh, we
ready
got
yet.
minutes.
Nope, no
Oh,
minutes.
You're
Nope.
No
slipping
minutes.
there.
Oh,
You're
that's-
slipping there.
Up the hook.
Right.
Just a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Have a good night.
Have a good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night all.